So today we're going to be doing 12-2, but just to kind of recap and do the example that was kind of the challenge that I gave you guys last time. I figured I would start off with that. So this is going to be number 37 that was on page 270. Okay, so this was a two-step problem. Okay. So for this one, because if you remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, this would be the part that we would have to do first right here. So first thing I would do is subtract 3 minus 1, and I would get 2. Okay, and then remember the denominator here stays the same. Okay, and then times 24. Now I'm going to put 24 over 1, because remember 24 over 1 is the same thing as saying whole number 24. Okay, I'm going to do my trick. 2 and 1, I don't have anything in common, but 4 and 24, I have 4. So I'm going to do 4 divided by 4 is 1. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, so 2 times 6 is 12 over 1, because I know 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer would be whole number 12. Okay, and then for the other one, this one has a little extra step here. So they did 3 over 5 minus 3 over 10 times 30. So here you had to first find a common denominator. So easiest common denominator, if you do the least common multiple, would be 10. I'm going to skip that step just because I want to make sure I have enough time to go over everything today. Okay, so we're going to times 2 here, times 2. So whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. So we have 6. And then 10 times 1 is 10. Whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. So 3 times 1 would be 3. Okay, so 6 minus 3 equals 3. Okay, denominator stays the same. And I'm going to take my 30 here and do 30 over 1. Now I can't reduce 3 and 1, but I can reduce 10 and 30. So 10 goes into both of them, 1 and 3. So our answer would be 9 over 1, or 9. Okay, so that's those two review problems there. Okay, so for today's lesson, it's going to be multiplying two fractions. So this is slightly different because it's not going to be the whole numbers. So here, we'll just get started with some examples because it's very similar to the other lesson. Okay, so we have 3 over 4 times 5 over 6. Okay, so again, you can do this two ways. You can just go straight across like this, and you would get 15 over 24. But then you'd have to also remember, and I noticed this on just kind of glancing at your homework, that you guys were forgetting to reduce. So that is why I actually do that trick, because then you get to skip this step. You don't have to worry about like, oh, do they have something in common? Okay, so you can do it that way, but again, I'm more of a fan of this way because then you reduce it up front and you're working with smaller numbers. Okay, so 5 and 4, nothing's in common. 3 and 6, we have 3 in common, so 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So our answer would be 5 over 8. So notice you get the same answer each time, but this way I feel like it just helps you work with smaller numbers, because I saw a lot of people that would stop once they multiplied straight across, and that would actually be wrong because you have to simplify into simplest form. And on the test, it's actually very like, make sure that you put in simplest form. So again, this is fine, but you have to be very tedious in the saying, okay, is there any number that could go into 15 and 24? Okay, so, and that's pretty much all the lesson is. So instead of putting your whole number over 1, you're just working with 2 fractions. All right, let's see. Let's try, I'm going to do some examples here. Let's try 3 over 4. Okay, 3 over 4 times 7 over 8. And I'm actually on your homework page of 273. So here, interestingly enough, when you look at the way these are, you actually will see that they don't have anything in common. So we actually can't simplify this at all. So your answer would be 21 over 32. Okay, and the cool thing about this is because there's nothing you can simplify here, this is actually going to be your final product. So that would be your answer there. Okay, that was number 1. Let's see. Let's look at number 4. So we have 2 over 3 times 1/2 times 5 over 8. So here you could just go straight across and go 2 times 1 is 2 times 5 is 10. And then 3 times 2 is 6 times 8 is 48. So 10 over 48 and then reduce. Or you can see if you have anything in common. So same thing, look diagonally. Okay, the only thing when we look diagonally from all these numbers is 2. So 2 goes into 2 ones. 2 goes into 2 ones. 1 times 1 is 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 1 is 3 times 8 is 24. And that would be our number there. Now if we did go straight across and we did 2 times 1 is 2 times 5 is 10, and then did the bottom where we did 3 times 2 is 6 times 8 is 48, that's fine too, but you would just have to remember to reduce. Okay. So pretty easy. Since your homework is evens, I'm going to do some of the odd ones so that way I can practice with you. And again, you don't have to take notes with me, but you can totally work alongside me too. So let's see, let's look at number 7. We have 3 fifths times 5 ninths. Well, these are my favorite because when you actually look at the way they're crossed, when you look at the way that they're crossed here, you're like, ooh, yes. Okay, 5 can go into 5 once, 5 can go into 5 once. 3 can actually go into both of these, so 3 divided by 3 is 1, 9 divided by 3 is 3, and your answer is 1/3. So super, super easy, okay? Let's do number 9. This is with multiple ones again. So 3/4 times 1/3 times 2. Okay, so again I'm going to look and see, is there anything that I have in common with these? So here I have 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3, 3 goes into 3 once. These don't have any, these don't have any, so 1 times 1 is 1, times 2 is 2, and then 4 times 1 would be 4, okay? And then we'd have to divide. We get 1/2 there, okay? Now, technically, you could take this number and reduce them, but I usually don't get into that extra step because that's a little, sometimes that can be a little confusing just because you're working with so many numbers there. So technically, if we had reduced this one and this one, we would have still gotten 1/2 too. So if you had that question and go, oh, could we reduce that? You can. I just usually don't do them when they're not next to each other, but since this is fairly a new concept for you guys. And then, let's see, let's do 11. We have 1/6 times 5/6. So this one, don't have anything that we can reduce by, so we're just going to multiply straight across. So 1 times 5 is 5. 6 times 6 is 36. Okay? All right, so it would be 5/36. And I'll do one more, and then I'll let you go to start. Do number 13. 1/7 times 2/3 times 6. We're going to put that over 1. Okay, so when we look, and we're looking at our numbers next to each other, we see 3 and 6. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Then we multiply across. 1 times 2 would be 4. And 7 times 1 times 1 would be 7. So your answer there would be 4/7. So that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me or Mrs. Barron. This is going to be our last math chapter, and it is probably more of the complex one. So if you get stuck on any section, or if there's any even that you want me to do tomorrow when I do a video and just say, can you please do number 12 because it was a little more difficult, just let me know and I can totally add that into the video. All right, bye, have a good day.